Hi, everyone, and welcome. I'm Z, and today we're diving into the evolving privacy landscape here in New York State. There's a lot happening. Let's unpack what it all means for your business. First off, the New York Privacy Act, often referred to as NYPA, is back in play this year. It's been reintroduced as Assembly Bill A4947 and Senate Bill S3044. These are updated versions of the 2023 proposal many of you have followed closely. The latest draft keeps the foundational elements. Things like opt-in consent for sensitive data, strong consumer rights, and data minimization requirements. But there are some refinements, particularly around data de-identification and fiduciary responsibilities for data controllers. That said, and I want to emphasize that NYPA is not law yet. It's still working its way through the committee. It did clear a significant Senate committee vote in May, which is more progress than we've seen in some prior sessions. But we also need to acknowledge that Senator Kevin Thomas, who is the bill's main champion, is no longer in office. Without his leadership, it's unclear whether the Assembly will rally behind this version or opt for a different framework. Which brings us to another proposal on the table, Assembly Bill A974, often referred to as the New York Data Protection Act. This bill takes a slightly different approach, borrowing heavily from the Washington Privacy Act. It's a bit more prescriptive, especially when it comes to data broker registration. Think of it as a more operations-heavy counterpart to NYPA. But like NYPA, A974 is also early in the legislative process and hasn't gained significant traction yet. Now, let's shift to what has passed, because this is where the biggest regulatory shifts are actually happening. In June 2024, New York signed into law the Child Data Protection Act, S7695. That law goes into effect on June 20th, 2025. So yes, we are now on the clock. If your company serves users under 18 in New York, you'll need to comply with some of the strictest data handling rules we've seen at the state level. This law is significant. It limits data collection for minors to 3 scenarios. 1, with opt-in consent. 2, for specifically listed permissible purposes. Or 3, if the processing is strictly necessary to deliver a product or service the minor has requested. The Attorney General recently issued implementation guidance clarifying that strictly necessary will be interpreted through a reasonable expectations lens. That's a big shift. It essentially means that if a user, say a 15-year-old, isn't reasonably expecting their data to be used for behavioral ads, you're not allowed to do it. Period. Another aspect of the Child Data Protection Act that's worth mentioning is the requirement to honor age flags. These are signals, technical or behavioral, that indicate a user may be a minor. While final rules on age flags are still in development, the AG has said businesses showing good faith in complying with other parts of the law will get enforcement leniency on that piece, at least for now. Now, I know some of you are wondering, if you're already compliant with COPPA, are you covered here? The answer is partially. COPPA covers children under 13. New York's law goes further, extending protection to teens 13 through 17. That means you'll need a layered consent strategy and clearer justification for any processing of teen user data, especially if you're relying on tracking, profiling, or targeted engagement features. Let's take a step back. What we're seeing here is a layered model of regulation. New York is advancing privacy protections piece by piece, rather than through one sweeping consumer law. NYPA and A97, the 4th of May, still pass, but in the meantime, the state is already enforcing stronger protections for its youngest residents and using that as a blueprint for what broader enforcement might look like later on. So what should you do now? First, monitor both the NYPA and A974 bills, but don't wait for them to pass to act. Start mapping your data flows, especially for New York users. Second, assess whether your platforms, products, or marketing channels interact with minors, and prepare for the June 20th Child Data Protection Act deadline. And third, keep a close eye on what the Attorney General is signaling. Enforcement guidance is filling in a lot of the practical gaps right now, and ignoring it could put you out of step even if a law hasn't been finalized. That's a quick run-through of where things stand. Thank you for joining today. If you've got more questions or if you're trying to build out a compliance roadmap, don't hesitate to reach out to Centraleyes.